We find that if people are saying, I don't look forward to coming to work, that's generally related to they don't really know why their work matters, which is generally related to a lack of clarity around what's expected of them. Welcome to the Physician Growth Accelerator, a show where we break down your private medical practice systems into vitals, give you the tools to diagnose root cause of what may be restricting your growth, and prescribe what to do about it. I'm your host, Zed Williamson, and I believe that everything you experience is the perfect outcome of your current system. So if we want something different, we just have to own it, tweak the system, and create that desired outcome. Now, there's so many parts of the medical practice that add to whether you would consider it successful or not, and people are going to have different definitions of success. One thing our brain does, though, as leaders in our businesses, is we tend to ignore the things that we don't really know how to deal with or don't want to spend the energy dealing with, and we focus on the things that we feel tactically might help our businesses grow. Generally, we are ignoring root cause and we're paying attention to symptoms. And so if you think about a patient doing the same thing about their health, it's not really a great strategy for long-term health, right? Is we only pay attention to symptom and we completely forget about root cause. And in business, one of the most common root cause items is related to an understanding of the perspective of your team and their understanding of your perspective. So if you think about communication or the lack of communication. Now, whenever we work with a practice, we do it in a kind of an exhaustive survey with the team that's anonymous up front. And I'm going to go through a couple of the questions that we ask so you can kind of imagine how people might answer them in your practice and what that means. So one of the first questions on this survey is, I look forward to coming to work most days. And you can score this from a 0, meaning never, all the way up to a 5, meaning, yep, love it. So imagine if you ask this question across, let's say 15, let's say you're a small practice, you have 15 total employees, and there's different answers. Just think about the simple idea of this one question and getting different answers. Some people 5, some people 4, some people 3, 2, 1, 0, and so on. That's probably telling you something. If someone is saying, I don't look forward coming to work, that's a problem. And it's easy as leaders for us to blame the people. Like, well, they're probably lazy, they got a bad work ethic. And I'm not saying that's not the case. You'll never hear me say that we have to coddle people and we have to try to make everything super friendly and easy on others, and I don't want to trigger anybody. You're never going to hear me say that stuff. It is important that there is clarity in communication and expectation, meaning if someone is coming to work, that there is clarity on what is expected of them. And it's not this silent expectation that is in your mind. We find that if people are saying, I don't look forward to coming to work, that's generally related to they don't really know why their work matters, which is generally related to a lack of clarity around what's expected of them. This can come from someone showing up to work and one day, showing up late one day, not showing up one day, and there's really no interaction. So that's going to tell the person, well, your job doesn't really matter. So subconsciously, they're just going to believe, well, I guess my job doesn't matter, so I don't really matter. If they're doing work and they screw something up, or they don't screw something up, and there's never communication between those two, again, their job doesn't matter in their eyes. And you might just be thinking, well, I'm just too busy to talk about that. It was just a little mistake, so I don't need to worry about it. They'll probably fix it. If you can communicate when people are doing the right thing and when they're doing the wrong thing, that is proof to them that the work they do actually matters. And when you see scores of people who say, I do look forward to coming to work, I promise you that is not an environment where there is no accountability. It's actually usually the other side. There's typically high accountability in places where people would answer that question positively. And that's because it is absolutely clear why they're coming to work. As humans, we like to know that we're contributing to something. I mean, we are built to survive in these pods of humans from, let's go thousands and thousands of years ago. And if we're helping our community grow, that's where we get a lot of value. That's where we feel appreciated, that there's worth. If we go into work, we're going into this pod of humans, and if I feel like it doesn't matter if I'm here or not, you know what? Then I'm not really going to look forward to it. So it's a really interesting scenario where people sometimes would say people don't want to come to a highly accountable space, and that's generally the opposite. A highly accountable space where there's a lot of clarity around roles, responsibilities, and expectations. You tend to have employees who want to go to work because they actually feel the purpose. Are you a private practice leader dealing with team drama, growth headaches, or just trying to keep your head above water? Introducing the Physician Growth Accelerator membership, a free resource for our podcast listeners like you to get real solutions. Inside, you'll find exclusive materials, free courses, bonus podcast content, and live events, all designed to help your practice grow. It's free for now, so don't wait. Visit physiciangrowthaccelerator.com and click members to join today. Another question in that same section is, I have the resources I need to do my job well. And so imagine the difference if someone ranks that a 5 as an absolutely compared to someone who ranks that a 0. Now, again, this is just perspective. There's no right or wrong. But if someone believes they are a 5 and they look forward to coming to work, what kind of work do you think that person is likely doing? Probably pretty good work. If someone is a 0 and doesn't believe that they have the resources to do their job well, do they need to do their job well? No. From their perspective, they get to blame the practice on whatever mistakes they're making. So again, this is about belief and it's about understanding. And what I'm not saying is if everyone comes back 0, that we go back and we say like, hey, what kind of resources does everybody need? That's not the answer. The answer is understanding what are the expectations that they know and where do they think they're missing it specifically, and how much of that is tied to behavior and choice as opposed to the outside world. In that same section, I feel comfortable sharing ideas or concerns with my supervisor. Imagine, again, the difference between a 5 and a 0. If someone is uncomfortable sharing ideas or concerns, all these things are going to line up to someone not looking forward to work because they don't matter. If someone is really comfortable sharing ideas or concerns, they think that they are part of the growth. Imagine if you ever go to Nashville or the cities where they have, the bike tours where 6 people or 8 people are pedaling the bike. It's one of those things where if someone is comfortable bringing up concerns, they're having fun being part of the peddler. Like they want to help drive this thing. They get joy, fulfillment out of that. And if you were just kind of separate yourself from the practice for a moment and think about, as the leader of this practice, would I rather a team that was fulfilled by helping us grow compared to a team that didn't care if they came to work or not? That's a big difference. And whichever outcome you're experiencing, it is the perfect outcome of your current system. It's not the team. Now, you may not have the right people on the team, but it's not the team that creates that. It's the organization and the expectations and the clarity around that communication that creates that specific engaged and aligned team so that everybody feels like they're pedaling and they're not complaining about it. They feel fulfilled. So there's so much value in understanding perspective, and there's so much value in your team understanding your perspective. So often we have these silent expectations. We don't share what we're specifically looking for. Then we have an opinion about what we didn't share, like they should have been able to read our mind. And we all know that that's clearly not a good path. So I hope this was helpful. Had you start thinking about the difference between what if someone does love showing up to work and doesn't? What if they feel they have the resources or they feel they don't? And what that does to the operation of your practice and literally, creating the potential ceiling on the growth of what that practice is. And these are just 2 or 3 questions There's dozens and dozens more to dig into those things. If you ever want to dig in deeper with things like this with your team, always feel free to reach out to the Physician Growth Accelerator team, and we will help you do that. You can go to physiciangrowthaccelerator.com, and you can check your vitals while you're there. And with that, we'll see you next time on the Physician Growth Accelerator.